I think I want to say that there's two ways we could come out of this. One is we can go back to how things were, or the second is we could be in for a new normal, the famous words. I go on a beautiful walk all the time in a favourite place of mine called Abbotsbury. I started the cricket pitch, which I used to captain, walk up to St. Catherine's Chapel, where you can see counties, and then I walk down to Chesil Beach. It's glorious. And I did that walk in Lent with a friend, a pioneer, and we were talking about how do we begin a pioneering movement in Dorset, and we had a great time. Then lockdown came, and I wasn't able to walk that walk for a fair while. Then in June, as we were allowed a bit further, I took my kids down there to do the walk. And as we were walking, I felt God remind me of that previous walk with the pioneer. And then I felt God say, look a bit closer. And as I looked at the hedgerows and the wildlife and the flowers, and I realized that what was an always beautiful walk was even more beautiful now, and it had a wild beauty to it. And there were plants there I'd never seen before. It was buzzing with creatures I hadn't seen there before. And the creatures seemed more numerous, and I felt God remind me that the church was dormant at the top of the hill. This, I think, is a sense of rewilding, that if we just leave creation to itself, it grows and old things start to happen again. We've seen it during COVID, fish being seen in Venice, birds heard in Wuhan, turtles laying eggs in front of five-star hotels in Mexico. We've taken our hands off creation, and what was always beautiful has now got a wild beauty. And I think God's challenging us, and particularly leaders, to take our hands off of the church, to let go of control and allow God to be God and to work through his church. I think his calling to leaders at the moment is just to help people encounter his presence, and then to allow what he's doing in those people just to bubble up to beauty. And I think the church that's always been beautiful could have a wild beauty to it. And I think, if I'm honest, though the church is beautiful, I think it could be described pre-COVID as tame. How might we become wild again? And if we take our hands off, maybe God's Holy Spirit will come back to us, and the things we read in Acts or going on in Africa might be our stories of healing and new life and communities being planted. It might be once again the good news to the poor, and instead of our buildings being filled with middle-class Christians, we might see everybody start to want to be a part of radical community. What does it look to rewild the church? How can we take our hands off and allow God to do what God does?